Good morning. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. I'm here with Dr. Charlita Amler, who is our terrific Commissioner of Public Health for Westchester County. The Westchester County Department of Health, through their nurses, expect to give out 250 flu shots to residents, a total, I think, of 1,700 here, and that includes me. This year, I'm taking the advice that I didn't take a year ago by Dr. Amler and the CDC's advice, which is to get the flu shot early in the flu season, this being the end of October being an ideal time for it. You may remember last year, like many men, I waited until I was appropriately convinced, nagged into doing it, which I should have done sooner, and I wound up taking it in the first part of this year. But the shot that I get today, I hope, will protect me throughout the flu season, and this is a season that can last all the way into May. This is the right thing to do, and even though I make light of the fact that last year and in other years I've been slow to do it, it is important to be prudent for all of us, for myself and everybody else. So the County Health Department is here to administer these shots for those who can't afford it, as a convenience given the physical location here in White Plains. It is also, the nurse team has gone out to soup kitchens, to homeless shelters, and to the Westchester Community College campus, a number of the county work sites, to help keep our workforce healthy so that everyone can be served. So obviously, if you haven't had a flu shot yet, join me as soon as you can, and your family members. Don't delay. This is an opportunity to make sure you have good health during the very unpredictable flu season ahead. So I want to ask Dr. Amler to share some thoughts. Her professional background in these areas has been well defined, and she's been a very strong advocate for preventive medicine, and we're very appreciative. I'm personally appreciative of the influence to make sure I do the right thing.
Thank you. Yes, have to keep you well. So, as you may have heard, the flu shot really is your family's best defense against getting the flu. We give flu shots every single year. It's the only vaccine that you take every single year. So think about how many flu shots have been given over the many years that we've been doing this. So it is the shot, the vaccination that we give the most of. It is the most monitored, and it is an extremely safe vaccine. If you do get the flu, your chances of having a serious complication from the flu are substantially less. Last year, the CDC tells us that more than 80,000 people died of influenza during last year's flu season. Approximately 180 of those were children, healthy kids, who unfortunately 80% of those 180 had not been vaccinated. So as you can see, getting your child vaccinated is a very good way of keeping them healthy. This year, I understand that there has been so far in New York State one pediatric death, and even one death in a child from the flu is one too many. Some people can get infected with the flu and have no symptoms, so they can go on to spread it to others. By getting a flu shot, you protect not only yourself, but the most vulnerable people in our population. The elderly, so think of your grandparents. If you know individuals who may have cancer and on chemotherapy, anybody who's immunologically compromised, by getting your flu shot and not getting sick and potentially spreading the disease to them, you help protect them as well. Individuals who are 65 years and older, anyone who has asthma, diabetes, heart disease, pregnant women, children under 5 are also at increased risk for the complications of flu. Every year I have people tell me, oh, I don't take my flu shot because I did that once and I got the flu from my flu shot. It is not possible to get flu from the flu shot. It is a killed vaccine, so it's just not possible for that to happen. What can happen is that you could have been exposed to influenza and you could be incubating the virus and get your flu shot. If that's the case, it won't stop you from getting the flu, which is why we want people to take the flu shot early in the season. We don't want you to already be exposed, be developing flu by the time you get around to getting your flu shot. So like I said, you cannot get the flu from the flu shot. It's just not possible. But it does take a full 2 weeks from the time you get your flu shot to be fully protected against influenza. And during that time, you could be exposed. A recent study showed that, just so that you know, that during the flu season that ended in the 2014 year, there were more than 40,000 deaths during a 9-year period. This is a huge number of people who die every year from something that's absolutely preventable. We can prevent people from dying of influenza, and that's why we do this. So what can you do if you do get the flu? Well, the very first thing is don't go to work. Don't send your children to school. If you've got a fever, if you've got a cough and you're sick, protect the people that you work with. Stay home. Don't send your children to school. Before you get sick, how else can you protect yourself? Wash your hands. Believe it or not, washing your hands is the best thing in public health. It can prevent a whole range of diseases from occurring. And I don't mean just putting your hands in the water and doing this. I mean soap and water and actually rubbing your hands. Sing happy birthday to yourself twice. You'll be in good shape. So what are the symptoms of flu? In case you're wondering, flu symptoms include a fever, cough, sore throat, a runny nose, stuffy nose, body aches, headaches, chills, and fatigue. And if you think you have your flu, then call your doctor, because there are antivirals that you can take. These drugs do work best if they're taken within 2 days, 48 hours of the onset of symptoms, but they are not a substitute for getting your flu shot. So thank you. So I guess we're ready
Get down
to
to business.
I have a quick question.
Certainly.
The county executive alluded to this. You said you expect to give 250 flu shots to residents. Is that
Today. This clinic is open to anyone today.
okay? You expect to give 250?
That's the number of appointments that we have people have registered. We are also taking walk-ins, but that's the number of people who have signed up to come in today.
Do you know how many flu shots were given out in Westchester last year?
I have no idea, because we only give out a small portion of them. Pharmacies give them, local doctors give them, so there's a large number of vaccines that are given out every year. We try to vaccinate the people who would have difficulty getting it if we weren't doing it. That's why we're in the soup kitchens. That's why we go to food pantries. We go to shelters to try to get to the people that really don't have access to the vaccine.
There were some complaints last year that the vaccine wasn't that great, wasn't that strong. How would you describe the vaccine?
Well, when they went back and looked at it, they said the efficacy was about 40%, and on a good year, it's about 60%. So, when we tell you that, it may not prevent you from getting the flu, there are no guarantees in life. But what we can tell you with some degree of certainty is if you get a flu shot, you are much less likely to die from influenza. And I think that's the bottom line.
That's a good incentive.
Yes.
Does the vaccine change every year?
The vaccine is reviewed every single year. There's a committee that looks at what types of flu are circulating in the rest of the world, and then they base that on what they think the 3 or 4 most likely circulating flu strains are. So yes.
How does the flu get into America?
Well, people. It's transmitted from person to person. You have any idea how many people fly into this country every day? How many people get on a train, use public transportation? So you're at a bus and somebody is coughing and looks ill beside you, 3 feet, distance yourself, because it's person-to-person transmission.
I have a question. With the measles outbreak, how would you talk to a person that, sometimes the symptoms are a little bit alike, what would you advise them?
With measles, the symptoms are not really, they're much more defined in measles. You get a rash with that, you tend to have a little rash in your mouth, so they're not exactly the same. But honestly, the problem with measles is that we don't have herd immunity. this is how vaccinations work. You get enough people vaccinated, it protects everyone. When you have people that are not vaccinated coming into our country who then develop the measles, they expose everyone here who isn't vaccinated. So, you know, that's why when people have had their MMR, appropriate number of MMR, they're pretty safe. I mean, the vaccine works well, very well for measles, but measles has a 90% transmission rate. So if you're not vaccinated and you're exposed to somebody who has measles, your chance of getting it is about 90%.
Do school districts require students to be vaccinated by law?
Yes, they do. There are certain exemptions for religious exemptions that exist. But, you know, the more people who are vaccinated, the safer they are. People in the past have died from measles. We don't want to see that. You know, we certainly don't want to see that here. And so we have people who come in, you know, not always from other countries. Sometimes they're our own residents who travel abroad and get measles and bring it back. The most important thing you can do for yourself and your family is get vaccinated. The vaccines are safe, and they're much safer than having the disease. Any other questions? Nice and time.
Nope.
Didn't even bleed. I don't even
Didn't
know that
bleed.
I can even tell where I gave it.
That's it?
That's it.